Frontier opening bell for Wednesday, the 22nd of March looks a little bit like this, with the markets going for a mixed Tuesday, but largely in the green territory. I'm going to start from Kenya, where Safaricom and KCB shares rallied very strongly despite the face-off between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga about the protests that's going on in Kenya. Raila Odinga wants to protest every Mondays and Thursdays. Well, the markets seem to ignore Raila Odinga's requests that investors stay away from the shares of those two companies. So Safaricom shares and KCB rallied very strongly. The NSE was up roughly 2.75% on Tuesday. That is just let you know what's going on, the political face-off between the former Prime Minister and the cabinet of former President Uhuru Kenyatta. But still a whole lot, bit of early days for President Ruto, by the way, in terms of his administration is going on. The Nigerian market eked out about 9 billion naira in local currency yesterday. It was still below the 30 trillion in local market cap. The headline index is also still below the 55,000. We added just 0.03%. The BRVM continued to soften a little bit, roughly 0.5%. The Egyptian market, very strong, 2.69% on discussions between the Egyptian authorities and the IMF. Then you've got the South African GSE back on the block, 2.40%. The market in Ghana finished 0.01% on Tuesday. Keep those numbers in mind. Let's quickly run through the headlines in East Africa, and of course the whole issue of the protests that Raila Odinga says the Kenyan people want. Well, whoever wants a protest, by the way, disrupting business activities at the Central Business District, and how that is impacting the financial markets. We'll touch more on that in the days ahead. Lufthansa has appointed South Africa-born Kevin Makete as the new general manager for East Africa, as Lufthansa begin to go deeper into East Africa with a hub in Nairobi. And Victoria Bank of Kenya posting full year 2022 earnings per share 2.75 shillings, profit after tax better by 38.2%, and net interest income of about 2.6% growth for last year. And Kakuzi Foods, which is one of the biggest agro-allied listed companies in Kenya, reporting 2022 full year numbers, a very strong profit after tax, 164%. Sales came in very bumper, 34.5%, and shareholders of Kakuzi will be getting a growth of 60.4% in earnings per share, and a dividend of per share of 24 shillings, and that is quite hefty. So that's the story from East Africa. Let's cross in very quickly to see what the West African market is looking like. Nigeria's central bank had tight monetary policy, and that was tightened further on Tuesday with a 50 basis point hike by the central bank to 18%, and that's the highest we've seen. Inflation targeting is still there, but the concerns whether the tightening by the Monetary Policy Committee in Nigeria is getting too tight for the economy, if there are alternative ways of taming the country's inflation, which was around 21.9% in the month of February. All of that in focus this week, and how the market is taking all that down. The UN Economic Commission for Africa says the continent accounts for 55% of the total world poor. That has increased significantly higher since the COVID-19 pandemic. And Ghana's Bank of Ghana, the central bank, is expected to hold interest rate at 28% when it meets this month, because Ghana's inflation came down sharply to about 52.8% reading. Is that enough for the central bank in Accra to hold rate? We've got to wait and see. And Liberia gets the African Development Fund's $3.9 million support to boost the West African country's payment system infrastructure. That's some good news that the administrations in Monrovia could use. Let's get on to South Africa. Inflation in South Africa just came in this morning at 7%. That's a 4-month high. Annual food inflation almost at a 14-month high and 14-year high. And that's the news from South Africa. How that will impact the decision by the South Africa's Reserve Bank later this month or next week is anyone's guess. Also, there's a lot of bets out there that that the SARB would have to raise rates. In the meantime, Procurement Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe wants the ESG compliance as part of the requirements for public contracts. And a new 300 megawatts coal-fired power plants have started feeding into the national grid to ease Zimbabwe's energy crisis. And ESCOM is looking to implement stage 3 load shedding from this afternoon, Wednesday, the 22nd of March. And the Green Climate Fund says it's making about $253.7 million available to support infrastructure on the African continent. Infrastructure that are climate friendly, that is. Green Climate Fund is sitting on about $12 billion in total facility. Let's get on to see the North Africa's economic headlines as well as business stories. The central bank in Egypt is looking to sell about 4.75 billion local pounds in T-bonds as the Financial Regulatory Authority okays the setup of Malath Consumer Finance Company. And the OCP of Morocco, an Islamic trade finance partner to boost development in Africa, while Queen Maxima of the Netherlands is in Morocco to promote digital financial inclusion. And of course, Lafarge Holcim in Morocco says its consolidated profit was down 31% for the full year 2022. And that's part of the earnings they were still taking in from the past financial year. And that sums up today's Frontier Opening Bell. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time.